John Boehner said something yesterday. Was this yesterday, Devin? Okay, so John Boehner said something yesterday. Listen to this first.
You know, Republicans have acted to stop student loans interest rates from doubling and to make college more affordable for students across the country, including these students that are right here behind me. The White House and Senate Democrats have let these students down. And frankly, I think they deserve better. It's time for the president to lead. It's time for him to bring Senate Democrat leaders together and develop a solution. The House has done its job. It's time for the Senate and the White House to do its job. The failure to lead on student loans is part of the president's larger issue, and that is the failure to lead on the biggest issues facing our country, jobs and the economy. Every American deserves better than this new normal of slow economic growth, not enough jobs, and no increase in wages.
Well, you know, that sounds great. What a wonderful talking point, Speaker Boehner. We sure appreciate that talking point. I don't know. Have we ever heard that? I don't know if he's ever said that. Maybe he has. I'm being sarcastic. He's been saying it for 5 years. All the Republicans have. It's a wonderful thing, these talking points, because people may be hearing it for the first time and thinking, wow, I really like this guy. Oh, he's talking about the House has led. Yeah, they've led all right. Led to what? Led to what? Have they led the American people into a battle to try to create some jobs and turn this economy around? No, they have not. And then we have President Obama yesterday saying this. Go ahead, Devin.
We, the people, recognize that this government belongs to us, and it's up to each of us and every one of us to make it work better. We can't just stand on the sidelines. We can't take comfort in just being cynical. We all have a stake in government success because the government is us, and we're doing things right. When we're tracking weather more effectively, that saves lives for folks who are in the path of a tornado. When we're delivering effectively data on improved healthcare choices, that's going to save lives and reduce costs.
It's not going to save lives, and it's not going to reduce cost. I can't believe we're still saying these things when it's been proven over and over again that it's not going to do either one of those. The quality of health care is going to be diminished, and it's going to cost you and I more money. But they're still saying the same things. We're doing a good job? What planet is he on? Doing a good job doing what? We've got 47% of the working population of adults that have full-time jobs. 47%, that's historically low. That is the historical low level that has never happened in the history of the nation. And the government is doing a good job. Then I had to hear this morning Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee, Republican, who I like. I like Senator Corker. Seems like a good guy. He, too, is a master, though, of saying the same talking points now for 5 years. He's got it down pat. First of all, I think they embarrass themselves, all of them, by saying the same talking points over and over again. But forget about that for a minute. He said in the interview that he wanted to talk about Obamacare. He goes and talks about Obamacare and never once said anything about the fact that the President of the United States, in another abuse of power, decides not to enforce a law just because he's decided he doesn't like it. Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution says states that the president shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. His duty, or this is his duty, not a discretionary power. While the president, here's the problem, folks, the president does have substantial discretion over how to enforce the law. He has no discretion on whether it is a law anymore once it is passed. According to the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution made the faithful enforcement of the law a constitutional duty. But he doesn't have the constitutional right to say the law no longer exists. He doesn't have a constitutional right to say we're going to drop the mandate on businesses for 1 year. That is abuse of power. He doesn't have the right to do that. And nobody is talking about it. Not one Republican has come out and said anything about that I know of. If you know one, let me know who it is, because I'd like to get him on the air. In 1998, I'm reading from an article that was in the Wall Street Journal this morning. In 1998, the Supreme Court struck down a congressional grant of a line item veto. You may remember this during the Clinton administration. So they said you can't, the president has no right to just veto certain things after a law has been passed and made into law. You can't just say, well, I don't like that part individually. The only constitutional power the president has is to either suspend or repeal statutes. The only power he has to do that is to veto the entire bill and say, let's start all over again. Or he can propose new legislation that has to go back to the House of Representatives and to the Senate to get passed. You can do one of the two, but you can't just arbitrarily, and this was written for the court in the Clinton versus the city of New York. There is no provision, this is a quote from that provision, there is no provision in the Constitution that authorizes the president to enact, to amend, or to repeal statutes. But we have a bunch of spineless Republicans that want to make their talking points known, but don't care a lick about the Constitution, that don't care a lick about what the president is doing in this abuse of power. I'm glad, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that it was suspended for a year. That doesn't make it right because I like it. It's still wrong, and it's still an abuse of power, and nobody's talking about it. Why? Because because the Republicans are glad that it's happening too. It doesn't make it right. It goes against our Constitution. And we don't have one Republican that would dare stand up and talk about it or try to fight it or do anything about it. And it's pathetic. We're going to have Republicans, as Representative Corker did this morning, talk about Obamacare. He didn't even mention this piece of abuse of power once again by the President of the United States. This president can do anything at once. It's like he's got a 525, 35, whatever it is, Democrats on Capitol Hill. It's like there's not a Republican there. Come on, Ted Cruz, where are you? I need you, brother. Somebody step up to the plate. I don't care if it's good for business. It's wrong. It's an abuse of power. And we still have a Constitution, as last time I checked. It's pathetic. And all we're going to hear are these stinking talking points, how great the government's doing, what a good job the government is doing? We can't just sit back and be cynical. I would love not to sit back and be cynical if there was something productive being done by somebody on Capitol Hill. They're talking about the Republicans winning the Senate in 2014. I don't think the Republicans ought to win a seat. Neither should the Democrats. They all need to be fired. There's 20 or 30, 40 maybe, a couple Democrats, a couple Republicans that ought to stay. But this is the kind of garbage that keeps happening. We got a president that has a free reign to do whatever he wants and not get challenged. He's not going to get challenged by the media, and he's not going to get challenged by the other party. And the other party's going to say, we can't challenge him because the media won't back us up. I don't care about the media. Challenge them. Why are you worried about the media? Are you afraid you're not going to get the FaceTime? I'm not going to do what's right for America or the American people because the media is not going to give me approval? Is that what the Republicans are saying? I can guarantee you that's what they would say if I interviewed them. It's pathetic. I get so frustrated. Listen, folks, I know we're not supposed to say this on the radio. I'm as conservative as they come. I'm so conservative, I make Ronald Reagan look like Michael Moore. I've always been conservative. I always will be. But what is right is right. God does not call us to stand firm for any political party. He calls us to call all of them to get right with God and do what is right. Period. For as wrong as some of the liberals are, at least they have the guts to time in and time out stand up for what they believe in. Conservatives won't dare do that. I guess they don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, and they're afraid the media is not going to like them. They might lose a vote. They got to be liked. It's the problem with America, in their opinion. They're just not liked. If they were liked, maybe if they get an immigration bill, amnesty bill, they'll be liked. Maybe if they can start adopting same-sex marriage and be a little bit more loose on abortion, maybe they'll be liked by more people. That's it. Oh, man, I'll tell you. I know, how we're going to get the economy straightened out. We can't get any robust job growth. We got 47% of civilian adults that have a full-time job, the lowest level in the history of the nation. We can't even create jobs. We got median income that has done nothing but go down for the last 5 years. First time that's ever happened in any so-called recovery. When you factor in inflation, we're down to 1980s levels of income. We got the highest poverty rate in the history of the nation, and that's done nothing but go up. Another report out today, we got more people on food stamps than ever before. More people collecting disability than ever before. More people dependent upon government than ever before. That's a recovery? Yeah, it may recover enough dollars from lobbyists to make sure that the sitting legislators get reelected. It may recover enough dollars for that. That's about it. It's not doing anything for the American people. It's not doing anything for the good of America. We're not doing anything to uphold the Constitution. We're all the conservatives and the liberals are going to take the same position that it's some archaic document, and it's not a living and breathing document. It's not appropriate for today. You wonder why we're in trouble. I'll tell you, folks. I was in I did a town hall meeting some time ago in Richmond. Wasn't the last time I was there. It was the time before that. And the week after that, Eric Cantor was there doing a town hall meeting right after I did. And somebody emailed me. I remember this. Somebody emailed me. I'm not making a statement about my town hall meeting. We maybe had 1,000 people. Eric Cantor had about 250. I'm not making a statement that I'm. That it's not a popularity contest. Well, all I'm making is a statement that how pathetic that is. How pathetic that is. I challenge these legislators. I know there are GOP strategists that are listening to me right now because I get their stinking emails every time I get on a rant about the Republicans. I get an email from, I know they're listening. There's probably legislators listening. Stand up for the Constitution, for the American people. Last time I checked, we're still a representative government. Start representing what the American people want, and you won't have to worry about winning the next election. I got to get to the phones. Hopefully it'll calm me down. 866-300-9298. Dan Celia, Financial Issues. I'll be right back.
As part of